You're watching my favorite YouTube channel. My favorite YouTuber is watching or reading Games Radar. Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. will end their amazing Spider-Man run this fall with Spidey's most brutal battle. That last part is subjective, but the first part is objective, and it means that's coming to a closing. The artist may work on the book again, but the writer Zeb Wells reached 50 issues or something large like that and come to an end. Nothing to be embarrassed about to go that deep. Getting pulled off the comic book before you anticipated getting pulled off is embarrassing worthy. Ed McGuinness, though, his name is not taken off, so I'm sure he'll still be continuing to do more Spider-Man covers, more Spider-Man. He did this week's interiors. Zeb Wells and regular series artist JM or JRJR will exit Amazing Spider-Man after one final arc. So they're going to be closing out by the fall. We know that the very next week there will be already a new comic book coming out called The Amazing Spider-Man, new writers. I wonder what they'll do, because the in-between period last time, they had Spider-Man Beyond, where they had like 3 writers doing weekly things. I think they're just trying to run up the numbers and get them to a milestone quicker. Was it 900? Was that the milestone last time? So that's probably what we're probably going to expect, something to get the legacy numbers higher, just so that the issue 1000 happens earlier, which I've covered already. Writer Zeb Wells and artist John Romita Jr. will be concluding their run on ASM with one final arc, which Peter Parker will take on Tombstone. All right, that's the main villain of this whole entire arc. So win it all. Win it all? He's going to get his marriage back? No, because Nick Lowe is still there. Because the people in charge are still the people in charge. Spidey's most brutal battle. All right. Though Marvel's announcement doesn't it can't be his most brutal battle. He's died before. Kindred killed him. Remember that one issue? Kindred killed him. He's back to life right after. No suspense. And that's a problem here. That is the overall problem. All these news items. What has Spider-Man done recently that like stuck? No pun intended. Only thing that can happen to him is that his supporting characters can go through things, and even that will be undone. It's really, I mean, I was thinking of Gwen Stacy's death, but even that's been undone every now and again. But we don't know that it'll follow up on Spider-Man and Tombstone's upcoming battle in Amazing Spider-Man 56, which is actually 850, a milestone, which means they'll charge us extra. They would have charged us extra anyway because it was his last book, so it probably would have been like a extra 5 or 10 extra pages, you never know. But this looks like, all right, this is going to be a costly book. Does it have the price yet? I don't see the price at all. And that Amazing Spider-Man number 58 is being billed as the true kickoff of Wells and Romita's final arc. Okay, 58 is the kickoff. And yeah, I just jumped over the artwork. It looks good. Raining. We don't get rain. We don't have enough rain in our covers. So that's what I'm talking about. The rekindled rivalry between I am not Draymec. The rekindled rivalry between Tombstone and Spider-Man has been a long-running subplot in Wells' Amazing Spider-Man, which has enlisted artists Ed McGuinness and Patrick Gleason throughout this run. Barely Gleason, which began way back in 2021. Yeah, way back, 3 years ago. Way back. Which the current arc of the title, tying off some of Wells' other big plot lines, including the evolution of the living brain and the return of the Sinister Six. Eye roll. Okay, yeah. So the return of the Sinister Six, the return of everything in comic books, Sinister Six, or let's talk about the Green Goblin turning bad. Do you know how he came back to becoming a bad guy again? I knew that was gonna happen the very day they introduced the concept of him being a good guy. It was just a matter of time until status quo was reverted to. And that's an issue. That is a comic book issue. Marvel Comics create a new hero, or a new villain for the hero, I should say. Do something interesting. Allow for time to pass. And if you're not doing that, and you're doing circular storytelling, you see the downward spiral that you guys have been on. Actually, it correlates. The longer time has been stagnant and slowly moving, that correlates with the success of the comic book sales. Just saying, free advice. Allow for time to pass. And one day Spider-Man will be too old, and everyone will be too old, And that's when you can reboot from start. You can go back to zero. You can go back to issue number 1. It's okay. No one's going to say you guys failed if you're like on year 60 of your continuity. But if you reach, let's just say, a year 100, right? 40 years from now, you reach year 100 of your continuity. You guys can reboot and go back to zero. And I think it would be accepted by the fans going, well, we can't just keep doing these things. Spider-Man's going to be perennially a 29-year-old. We got to, like, I think the fans will get it. I think time passing in Marvel Comics is okay. And hey, if you're doing a good job, then some of the old heroes like Iron Man, who would be in his 50s and 60s, like all these guys, Wolverine won't age, Hulk won't age, but these guys, if you're doing your job, then you will have created younger heroes that can sustain the brand and still be doing their superhero thing. Not every of your top 10 heroes, every single one of them are created from the 60s or the 70s. Not every one of them have to be, though. If you guys just like work together, as in all the writers work together on elevating a character who's brand new and is young, you can make that character be achieved. But when all of you guys have your own little solo projects, there's Jed McKay, who's got his, not Moon Knight, but another Moon character, Hunter's Moon, trying to make Hunter's Moon happen. There's always like an X-Men that they're trying to make happen, like Fetch. There's always, no one succeeds. But when you can unify, you might actually get someone popular. Not Ms. Marvel popular, really popular, like holding on ongoing sales. That's just free advice coming from me. Long rambles short, allow for time to pass for Spider-Man and all the other superheroes, and let's see what we can do. The ending consequence is not that big of a deal. Green Goblin, and even Ben Reilly's transformation into the villainous Chasm. It makes sense to tie off his time on the title this way. Again, with what I said with Ben Reilly, same thing that happens to everyone else. The status quo will be reverted to. That said, there's one other big running plotline in Zeb Wells' Spider-Man, the relationship between Mary Jane and her new boyfriend Paul, and her separation from Peter Parker. You mean the reason why this comic is going to come to an end? The reason why Chill stopped reading. It's a safe bet Wells won't end his run without at least putting some kind of resolution on the love triangle, though it's also likely it won't be what fans expect. Nah, it'll be just like we expect. The Peter and the MJ relationship will come and go and come and go. It's not going to go away. They will kiss again. They will be lovers again. It's an inevitability because uncreativity. No consequences. That's why. Though Wells' run has been polarizing, as let's face it, most modern Spider-Man runs tend to be, I've enjoyed its broad strokes, especially his handling of the relationship between Peter Parker and Norman Osborn. It will be interesting to see who comes next. Who wrote this? On that note, it may be a coincidence that A-list DC writer Joshua Williamson announced his departure from DC's Green Arrow and Batman and Robin on the same day Marvel announced the ending of the Zeb Wells Spider-Man. Okay, who did write this? That was some investigative journalism over there, huh? You're using your brain over there. Or George Marston? Is that right? We're going to get a DC top-tier writer to jump ship and join for Spider-Man. If you're going to jump ship, it's not going to be for nobody. It will be for Spider-Man. With a similar time frame for both big changes. Yeah. And though it's purely speculation, Joshua Williamson making his return to Marvel as the new writer of ASM would certainly be a big enough name to set off some sparks. Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's going to be doing the Black Panther or kind of other things I complain about on this channel all the time. You see, when they want you to care, they'll put a name like Joshua Williams. I'm jumping the gun. It hasn't happened yet, but it is a good theory, and I can see it happening. So, how do we feel about this? Virtually everyone I know is not a fan of the ASM ongoing by Zeb Wells. So this is good news that it's coming to an end. However, the things that I'm not a fan of are more so editorial, less than it is with Zeb Wells. If Peter and MJ were supposed to be together, that's something that an editor would say. But the editor was okay with them being split. I'm not blaming Zeb Wells on that one. Now, book to book, issue to issue, were those in an enjoyable 20 pages or not, that's up to whether or not you like Zeb Wells. But the kind of consequential stuff as we count down to Spider-Man 1000, the consequential stuff is always going to be in the same state that it's been since I began reading these comic books. He's going to be a mid-20s, down on his luck, rarely gets a win. Superhero. Spider-Man 1000 coverage right up there.